Hi, Eddie Troxler here. This is Jazz Chat, jazzchat.org, or you can catch us on FATV, Fitchburg Access Television. They're really good, really nice equipment that they allow me to use, and I just pay a small membership fee. So, this is my first podcast of 2026. So there's a whole list of really cool songs that became public domain for the purposes. If you haven't watched my previous podcast, we use public domain jazz standards mostly, or other type of songs too are fine. And if you ever want to be on my show, just let me know. We can do whatever you want, but primarily it's about music and jazz. So, and sorry about my voice. I've had whatever's going around lately. I don't think you can catch it over the internet, though. I'm pretty sure. I have heard of computer viruses, but I think that's talking about something else. So, the tune I brought in today that became public domain this year is Georgia on My Mind, made popular by Ray Charles. It is written by Hoagy Carmichael, who I've done St. Louis Blues, I believe, was one of his songs, too. And if you go, to jazzchat.org, you will see that I downloaded a lead sheet, and I put some little handwritten voicings that I was using, and they do change. I know there's computer programs I can put them in. The same with notation. But to me, if I write them in pencil, that's kind of the way I learned, because computers, when I was in music school, they weren't quite up there yet. And most of my teachers, even though the notation was somewhat there, they wouldn't allow us, because I think you're forced to think about it more as you're handwriting, and you run it through your brain more times, so you're starting to already memorize it, and always write in pencil so you can change it. So I downloaded it on jazzchat.org, and if you have any trouble with it, just let me know. This is kind of a chord solo version, straight out of the real book. All right. So the first chord is an F major seventh, and the first shape I'm using is that one that we use. It's on page 48 in my book. It's the standard major seventh shape off of the A string. So that's my first shape, and I need an A and a C in the melody, which is right there. So if I'm at that shape, and now, and I can, so a lot of times if I need to fill in some space, I'll add that bass line. On a guitar, you just go the string below it, that's the root fifth, My next chord is an A7, which is, I can go to the fifth fret and play like that triad, because it has an A in the melody, but then it quickly goes to a G. So those are eighth notes. And then that's just that plain old A7 you probably learned as an open chord. Hopefully you did. So, and I'm filling in a little bit here and there, which you'll learn to do. My next chord is a D with an A in the melody, and then a D in the melody back to A. So I can just use that triad, which those triads are downloadable. And I have the seventh chords as well. I don't know I think they're up there. They might not be, but I know the triads are up there. You could probably make sure you really got them under your fingers before you start doing the seventh chords. So a D triad with an A in the melody, and then a D with a D in the melody. And that's just, like a straight bar. It says D with a C in the bass. That's what the slash means if you don't know. But if you're doing that shape, that's putting the C in the bass. So, D, and then back to that A, and then I have that that G with a G, but sometimes I grab that here as well. I think that's the shape I drew on there. This one's a little, because I think I have seen that as a diminished shape before. It says G with a B in the bass, which that's what I'm playing there. And my G with my little finger on the B string, 8th fret. And then I have this B here, and then my other, it's more of a diminished sound than either one will work, but I kind of like that where it's not on a strong beat. So here's what we got so far. It just kind of slides right in there, and then I can get those next two notes. It's calling for a B flat minor 6. Just use that flattened shape. I can put my thumb bass note in there if I want. Right? And then this little run that reoccurs is just, I have the A, first in A minor 7th, Can give my bass, open bass note if I want. And that's like a C triad there, but it's also the first inversion of a minor 7th. If you learn those minor 7ths. 7th chord inversions. All right, so from the A we got, and then we have a D7 with an E. That's not a chord tone, but I can do this D7 shape because my next note is a D. So you could call that a D9, So that's the whole top line. Then now we're gonna have it's a G minor 7th, and I have a B flat and a D in the melody, so I can just use that triad on the 10th fret. You know what I mean? Or if I want the 7th, I can. Is it just a little more color to add that F? And that's just a plain old G minor 7th shape that you learn. On page 48 in my book, or any book, that will give you that shape. And then the next chord is a C7 with an A, which is not a chord tone in a C7, but it's a C6. So just, you could just do that C7. Or, you could go even down here if you wanted to. Because like I said before, these fingerings aren't written in stone. And I might play them different every time too, it's basic. But it's a great tune to start figuring out chord soloing. And you're going to learn a lot more if you explore these voicings yourself rather than, me giving you a bunch of tab and stuff. That's my opinion. So we're up to the G minor 7th, then the C7, and then we have an A minor to a D7 with that C in the melody. So I'm going, I'm using that first inversion of an A minor 7, and that D7 is the same. It's the same one as an A7 down here. has the seventh in the. Your notes are D, F sharp, and a C, and an A there. And then we have this G minor seventh with it has eighth note D's in it, 4 of them. And then you have a C7 sharp 5, which that sharp 5 is your melody note. It's a G sharp. And that's the whole A section, really. A, B, A. The A section happens twice. I'll try to do it slow. It starts over. So that the second ending is a little different. The first ending you end on that augmented chord, that sharp C7 sharp 5. But this time you resolve, like a ton of songs do that, Probably if you're a beginner, you learn Ode to Joy, it does that too, Leaves you hanging in the air the first time, right? Resolves, then you go to the B side. There's so many songs that do that, so you kind of get used to that. So just the last measure is different on that, You can just end on that F if you want. If you want to add some bass notes, you can. Or just, it calls for it. It calls for. But that's it's more of a piano thing, I think. I might just do a little run there, if I need to fill that space. And then my target now, going into the bridge, the B section, is a D minor. So when you do those, if you can go a fifth above that, it helps. So a fifth above that D is an A, right? So if I end on that A, it kind of leaves me. So that's and that I can use the D triad. I can put that in there if I need to, but I probably don't even need it. The other B flat 7 with an F in the melody, so. So we got to the B flat 7, right, with the F in the melody, and it does the D minor again. A lot of times I'm not even bothering to go down there. Now we have D minor 7th with a C in the melody. So that's that inversion of the minor 7th. The same as this shape that we used on the A7 and the C7, but now it's a minor. So we want to, it's like an A minor shape, and then you're putting your little finger on that 7th. So, and I go into that, just to that triad there. And then to a G, a dominant 7th with a B in the melody. And that's an inversion of that as well, that G7, the inversion of the 7th, the second inversion, first inversion, rather. So those shapes are important. you got to practice them a lot. I think I practiced them triads and those for like a whole summer, when I was out of school or something. But it helps a lot, because I like I said before, I use those more than anything. So that's the bridge, And then the same thing. Except he's gonna go up this time. You have a C diminished with a G in the melody. So the cool part about diminished seventh is they're all minor thirds. So any note could be the root of it. Just learn a couple of shapes and any note can be the root. So any of those could be, but right now we want the G in the melody, and I have a C sharp there. And then I have an F6, which I'm gonna grab up on the like that. Just that triad is good. That goes all the way up to. And then that same seventh chord shape on that E7. Which puts a D in the melody. Then that same A minor seventh. On the seventh fret. So, and then you're just back into the A section. So let me try that. You can hear it. Maybe we'll try it with if you were doing it with the whole band, because I would do a lot less filling in. And like generally solo guitar, you don't. Well, I mean, I guess you could solo, but it's kind of tough to hold the chords up, And I mean, you kind of improvise over it, I suppose, but as far as soloing, not like you would with a whole band. So we'll try it this way and maybe with some backing tracks. So solo guitar, as I have written. There's a lot of other things you could do with that too, but that's kind of a rough job. But I have played this song lots of times. I'm not, a person that can look at it once and be able to even play it that well. Yeah, for me, it's people will come and see me play. You're so gifted, It's really just a lot of practice, For me, I mean, it wasn't like I was a prodigy or anything. So if you really love playing, just put that time in, All right, so let's give it a try, maybe with some backing tracks. and I'll have it like 3 times through. I have it on a kind of a country swing style. I guess kind of the way Ray Charles would have maybe somewhat played it, but you know, I could try it with a jazz swing 2 more, which would be a little different, but we'll try it this way and we'll see how much time we have left. And please contact me if you have any suggestions or you want to come on my show. I have some guests lined up for mostly in February. Then I have a few more here and there, maybe a few Januaries, but there's still lots of openings too. All right, Georgia with the Band in a Box. Georgia on My Mind by Hoagie Carmichael. I hope you got something out of it. Maybe just a little bit on what I was thinking about as I was soloing. Pretty much it stays within the key. And I used to think about scales a lot when I was maybe in music school, but I really don't think too much about that lately. I just more of that, pentatonic, if you like the sound of octaves, practice them, you skip 2 frets if you're on the G or the D string, and then you just skip 1 fret if you're on those. But you just practice scales that, if you like the sound of Wes Montgomery, George Benson, those guys, they really just gives it some more color. Yeah, I was pretty much just staying at pentatonic, hinting the melody here and there. Try to just be aware of, what the other instruments are doing, if that makes sense. But really, like I say, download this sheet where I wrote on it. Give me some suggestions if you have some. I hope you enjoyed it, and that I hope I inspire you to practice. That's kind of my goal, or to explore this stuff yourself. jazzchat.org on the internet. Also FATV, where we got about 2 minutes, but I'm also going to put up a list of songs that became public domain, or you can research it yourself. 2026, anything 1930 or before this year. So there was some really cool stuff written in 1930. Georgia on My Mind for one. There's also, I'll bring in some more next week. But thank you so much for watching. I'm almost out of time here. And contact me anytime. We can do a free intro lesson if you want. As long as I don't get too busy, obviously I can't do a couple of hundred of them a day. But always a free intro lesson. Feel free to call me. jazzchat.org. Thank you.